What's up, everybody? How's it going? It's Brandon Breshears from the Digital Marketing Madman channel. Wanted to say hi. I decided to do a live stream because I did a live stream the other day and it was just a test and it actually started to get views. And so I was figuring it's worth the test to see if the Facebook algorithm, the YouTube algorithm rewards live streams. But today I wanted to talk about 4 of my favorite books that are really awesome. I read them again in 2018. I've read them a few times each because they are so good, and in general they just really changed my life as far as marketing. And I think that if you're in any kind of business, they're going to be really, really helpful. If you don't do marketing for a living, it's going to be helpful because it'll help to get you introduced into some concepts that are amazing for growing your brand, selling more, and connecting with your customers and your clients. And if you do marketing, like, we need to be thinking about this all the time. It's hard to, sorry about that. I got a notification. I tried to swipe it away. So it's hard to know everything and to be remembering about everything all the time, just as far as like marketing concepts, especially if you don't have a team. If you're doing all your own marketing yourself, it's like basically getting collaboration with amazing marketing minds in general. So I think that books are like the cheapest and best education. So let's get into the 4 books. I'm going to tell you which ones they are first, and then I'm going to dive into them. Number 1 is Permission Marketing by Seth Godin. And I know this is backwards. I'll show you. Anyways, I know it's backwards. I'm using it in the forward-facing camera. Sorry about that. The next one is the Boron Letters. You may not have heard of that one unless you're into copywriting. That one is super good. The next one is Linchpin by Seth Godin. I really love Seth Godin. If you couldn't tell, he's one of my favorite marketers. I have got the Alt MBA plaque up there from Alt MBA. And then we've got Mr. Gary Vaynerchuck, his Jab, 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 Right Hook, which is like the ridiculously amazing book. I love his other books too, but I just wanted to focus on that one for a few reasons. So let's talk about these. The first is Permission Marketing by Seth Godin. I read this book when I was, let me see what year it came out in. I was into real estate. So if you haven't heard about what I do digital marketing as an agency, and I work with clients all across the world, and I focus a lot on veterinary, but also have clients that are in everything else as well. So do custom builds and custom full stack marketing. That means I build funnels and ads and campaigns and email follow-up and all of the pieces and connect them. And anyways, Permission Marketing was one of the first, it was actually the first marketing book that I read ever, and it had a massive impact on me. And it was written a long time ago, and I just was really impressed with Seth's like foresight. Yeah, it was written in 1999. Like he really saw the internet coming, and he understood how valuable attention was and how much more scarce it was going to get. And Permission Marketing talks about just that, right? So permission is a commodity. And when he talks about permission, it's kind of like attention. I'm giving you permission to market to me, or to send me marketing messages or send me information. And what you do with that permission over time can dramatically change the way that you run your business. So for example, if you are doing if you're doing any kind of content creation, any kind of marketing, and you start to do things that are beneficial over the short term, not over the long term, you will lose that permission eventually. A lot of the marketing tactics that people talk about, especially today, are built around a lot of manipulation, because it's effective, but it's effective over the short term. People are smart, and you have to treat your customers and your clients like they're really smart, because they are. And so the more that you do things like, I see it all the time where people will send out emails that have broken links just so that they can multiple email things. I will see people that do like gimmicky ads where they put like something that looks like either a cracked screen or a smudge on the ad so that people will click on it, especially on like stories and stuff. And when you do that kind of manipulation, it gives you a quick benefit, but then people, they understand and they learn, and then you're gonna have a harder time down the road. So permission marketing is more important than ever, and Seth is just amazing. one thing that, and I'll talk about this as we segue into his next book, which is Linchpin. And Linchpin is all about content and the things that make you and your brand indispensable. And typically that's the work that people say that they're too busy for. And I really, really like this. This is like one of the reasons why I'm doing this YouTube channel, is because, and I have a podcast and everything that I can think of as far as the clients that I've had and the clients that I've gotten have been because of the work that I produce that nobody else can produce, which is my content, right? It's possible for somebody to talk about it like I do, but they're not me. And so anytime that I create content, differentiate myself and put my time and energy into things that are beneficial for the marketplace and help to provide value, that's something that won't be able to be duplicated. And so, like, if I'm talking about, for example, my podcast, so I have a podcast, it's called the Veterinary Marketing Podcast. And I have over 140 episodes where I just deliver free, valuable content. And so if you look at my agency that works with veterinarians versus other agencies that don't have any content and they're just out there spouting offers, over the long term, the people that will want to work with me will want to do it because I have my own unique brand of content. And my personality comes through, and they're able to get to know me through the content. So it's very, very beneficial to create the kind of work that most people say they're too busy for. So when I work with brands a lot, they say, like, okay, we'll have our team create the content, you create the ads and the funnels and things. And that is good in theory, but the problem is if you're not actively creating content right now, you're probably not going to start just because you hire an ad agency. So content creation needs to be one of the pillars of your marketing. It has to be done now. You can't get away with just doing offers, especially with Facebook. The ads get a lot more expensive if you don't have data behind basically who's engaging with your page, and the algorithms for the ads are getting more and more tough. So really, really important that you're actively out there putting out content that helps to segment and engage your core audience that you're looking to connect with. And that's exactly what this is about. This is more of a higher level stuff. It's not like specific tactics, but it's just, it's getting more and more important as the internet becomes more crowded, as more content producers get out there, and as more businesses jump on to saying like, hey, using content as a way to attract customers is important. So I think that one thing that's going to happen a lot is going to be, as time goes on, and especially as the economy starts to turn, we're going to start seeing larger brands get away from the wasteful spending that happens, which is like the TV ads that cost $1 million for 30 seconds, right? That kind of stuff is just going to be a luxury that doesn't get the response. And so I think people are going to, large brands specifically, are going to go into more direct response model where they can create trackable, measurable results. Even in their branding plays, they can see, when they're doing display ads and things, they can see their view through conversions, and they're going to be able to measure things a lot better than they are now. So I think that a lot of these, when these large brands come on to the smaller channels and even start doing things like podcasting, and we're seeing that now, there's a lot of more emphasis in podcasting, content creation, micro content for different niches. I think that it's just going to be more and more crowded. And so now, instead of just having to compete with the other local businesses, if you run a local business, you're going to have to start competing in Facebook's feed and Instagrams with Chevy and Coke and GM and Ford and all of the big players that have kind of been sitting on the sidelines in the social and digital marketing space. Not necessarily digital marketing, but at least social, away from like large scale agency buys. So it's going to get hard, and if you're not actively doing it and you're not actively practicing, you're going to be in trouble when that happens. So get started. There's always, now's the time to get started. Okay, so the next book that I have here is The Boron Letters. If you haven't read this book, it is amazing. So Gary Halpert is considered by some to be the world's best copywriter of all time, which is like quite a thing to say. He had done copywriting for a long time, and his son Bond took letters that his dad wrote him when he was in prison in, I don't know if it was prison or jail. I think it was prison. When he was in Boron, is what the prison was called. That's why they're called the Boron letters. So it's letters from Gary to Bond about how to basically attract clients and customers and build business with copywriting. And it's like ridiculously beneficial for everybody to read. So if you have everybody should read this who owns a business, and if you're doing marketing, you should absolutely read it, because it just has so much good information in there. With the I think that one thing that he talks about that I don't agree with necessarily is he suggests hand copying copy material, so that you're like learning it by copying good ad copy and stuff. I think that you get just as much benefit from actually going out and creating ads, testing them, running them, seeing what happens, and split testing and going off on the winners. So if you want to do writing and copywriting and things, like actually create offers, test them, and then hopefully make money as you're going, instead of just copying. Once you get some formulas and templates, start with those and see what works, and figure out what works and what doesn't, and then go from there. But this, I mean, it's just is an amazing book in general. That one of the other lessons from it that I really got a bunch of value from, and I think is really, really valuable, is when he talks about who should you be marketing to, or what's the most important aspect of your business. He talks about the value of your targeting and your segmenting of your list. So back in the day, he was talking about buying mailing lists, because that's what people used to sell direct response to. Now we have so much more targeting. But he said, one of the examples in that book that I absolutely love is, he said, if you are selling hamburgers, what's the most important, what is the most important, sorry, I got a Slack message there, completely lost my train of thought. So he says, what is the most important thing if you're selling hamburgers? And people say, well, like having a great location is important, or having the best ingredients is important, or like you have to have the most expensive ingredients, or, you know, like there could be a million different things that you could think that is the most important. But he says that the most important thing is having hungry customers who want to eat, right? Because if they don't actually want to eat, it doesn't matter how good your cheeseburger is, you're not going to be able to sell it. So finding those starving customers that want what you have, those are the people that you should be targeting. And so part of creating successful advertising is tapping into that customer avatar, client avatar, who's starving for your message or your product. So that's really, really important. The last book that I have here is Gary Vaynerchuck's Jab, 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 Right Hook. This book is the Bible for native marketing. The way that he breaks down each social platform, if you're not good at social media, if you don't understand the platforms, it is a little bit old. He's got Vine on the cover here. He's got Vine and Snapchat. Those are no longer platforms that are really, I think, very worthwhile. But the medium is definitely interesting, because like when this book was produced in Instagram, there wasn't Instagram stories. So you can take the content that he talks about in Snapchat and apply it to Instagram. So finding these like greater principles out of the different platforms is something that's really important, because the platforms are going to change. The popularity of the platforms are going to change, but the principles of marketing and capturing that attention and being there early is something that's going to be really, really beneficial. And so that is just ridiculously important. So when he talks about creating native content, I think most people know what that means, but you're creating content for the specific platform, not just creating one post and putting it everywhere, but making the effort and taking the time to really create content that works for each platform. And also, I think is equally important is creating calls to action for each platform, because people behave in different ways based on where they're hanging out, and the ways to convert somebody from somebody who's never heard of you to then a paying customer. With each platform, there's nuances and ways that people do things. So for example, on Facebook, if you had people tag their friends all the time, Instagram, people tag their friends all the time and things, how can you use that to then create customers, right? So making the calls to action really simple based on the platform is really, really important. Anyways, that book is a quick read. Even though it's big, it's got pictures and examples of great campaigns, and I really like that book. I think that's a must read for anybody doing digital marketing in 2019 and beyond. So let me know what you think. Do you have any books that you really, really like that made a huge impact on you? I love reading. I'm reading books all the time. Right now I'm reading Seth Godin's book, This is Marketing, which is right here. And I'm actually writing a book, which is cool. I have a bunch of other ones here too that I'm actively reading. I'm always reading 2 or 3. But let me know, what are you doing? What are you reading right now? What has been impactful on your business? Love to hear. So let me know in the comments. And if you ever need any help, questions, comments, need help with anything, just comment below and be happy to help you. Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you later.